For our mini project, we designed and ran an online questionnaire. Any methodology has pros or cons that can be used to determine when that methodology would be the most appropriate one to use. An online survey has several benefits. The first is that there are a large range of free and paid tools to choose from, and be it paid or unpaid, many of these tools still have a very low cost of administering a survey, with the bulk of the cost coming from designing the questions and analyzing the responses, with no need to conduct a physical interview or distribute any physical product. Another benefit is that it is also easy for respondents to complete the survey, with very little time or effort to be expected from a respondent of any shorter online survey. Also, many of the common features in online surveys are readily recognizable by users, such as checkboxes, radio buttons, or text fields. However, there are several major drawbacks to an online survey. The largest drawback is that you cannot observe any of the respondents. This is a huge drawback overall, as many insights may be gained by following up or discussing an answer. The other major drawback is that you have no way of verifying if the respondents are answering truthfully or simply clicking random answers on your survey. The participants for our study were all students in Dalhousie's Human-Computer Interaction class, with many of the respondents being multilingual. This was perfect for our theoretical multi-language application in question, as we are looking for younger, more tech-savvy users who spoke multiple languages. Our first focus was the context of use, or how we should consider the design of the application with its regards to its use in different physical areas, such as location, weather, or privacy. And due to the difficulty in changing a piece of software's design based on physical location or weather conditions, we instead focused our questions on the privacy context, and found that surroundings affected the privacy of a user's conversation for 90.6% of respondents, with users also stating that the option to open an incognito mode conversation was preferred. The second research question, to consider the input and interface requirements, or the text input and voice input requirements, we found that the respondents prefer in general to send text messages, with text messages still being used for different language inputs, usually with a custom keyboard used by 46.9% of respondents. Our survey also showed that autofill was preferred by 65.6% of respondents, which can be used to minimize errors and maximize speed. However, our respondents also answered that they frequently use voice calls. 87.5% of respondents state that they also sometimes use voice-based calls over text messages. So, it makes sense that both features should be included in the application, as users sometimes use text messages and sometimes use voice. Several of our questions showed that many users preferred a customized multi-language keyboard, although voice input as well as an uncustomized keyboard were both still shown interest by users. Due to these varied answers, it would make sense for the application to allow different customization options for these features. The communication support in the application. Given that the application will be used for texting and voice communication, determining which communication support features our user desired most was very relevant. Users answered that they usually found the dictionary's autofill suggestions useful and that customizing the preferred language dictionary was desirable. Overall, our respondents replied with a varied answer, focusing on dictionary customization 37% of the time and autocorrect customization 28% of the time. However, language selection as well as keyboard customization together made up another 30% of responses. Again, these are very varied distributions in answers, and this question again seems to indicate a high desire for customization within the application. Our other findings were also that respondents were overall fairly concerned with privacy and security, with most users stating that some mix of usability and privacy was preferred, although more users responded that privacy and security was more important than usability. The context of use of the application was also relevant for the user's privacy, and many users expressed the ability to use incognito chats. To summarize our findings, users desire all functionality that is common in current messaging applications, such as emoticons and GIFs, the ability to communicate with contacts using both text messaging and voice messaging, as well as best practices regarding the privacy and security of our users' conversations. Throughout our findings, the results have pointed towards our users wanting a larger degree of customization of features within the application, particularly with the keyboard and dictionary. How did it go? In some situations, it would be desirable to reach out for a wider audience, but for our mini project, it was deemed acceptable. Normally, you would want to target a much larger demographic instead of just one group of computer science students. The online questionnaires limitation was mostly in varied responses, being able to get a more in-depth understanding by asking longer questions, as well as verifying and following up the answers to these questions. And that's it. Thank you.